Hi guys, Andrea Mills here. Today we're going to continue our conversation about raising adults, and it's a busy homeschool morning here this morning, so hopefully we don't have too many interruptions or loud grumpy kids in the background. So today I thought that we would talk about money and how our family's method of teaching our kids financial responsibility and all those skills that come with earning and spending their money. Our overall kind of theme that we want, our character traits I guess that we want to develop in the kids is responsibility, that what they do, their efforts have a direct effect on the outcome, how much that they earn, and on generosity, and that our money isn't ours, it's God's money to do with it what He wants. And part of that is taking care of ourselves, but part of that is taking care of others too. For my own self, one of the things that I find helpful thinking about this concept is, we have asparagus growing in our garden, and when we first planted our asparagus, I had read that you need to, at some point in the season, the plants need to grow big and tall so they can store up energy for the rest of the season. So not to cut it at some point, to just let it grow after you've harvested some. So the first several years I would get a few asparagus plants cropping up, and there would only just be a few of them, and so I didn't want to cut them because I knew that they needed to get energy, but no more were growing. So I just kind of didn't harvest them for several years. Then one year I finally just decided I'm just going to go ahead and cut these things. And when I did, all of a sudden more asparagus plants start popping up, and I realized my mistake in my thinking was that what I was seeing was all that there was going to be. And so to me that was kind of that stingy way of thinking, and that's the kind of thinking I don't want my kids to have when it comes to money. And so the more that I harvested the asparagus, the more asparagus there was. And I feel like that's kind of a thing that we start to think when it comes to money, is that we want to kind of hoard it, either for our own selves or because we're afraid or whatever it is. And I definitely don't want my kids getting the mindset that hoarding money is a virtue, because it is not. I want them to learn to earn it. I want them to learn to spend it on what they need to spend it on. And of course we do save for things when we have something in particular we want to save for, then saving money is definitely a wise thing to do, but not saving for the sake of saving. So we do chores every day, and that's one of the things that I want to do, is make sure that my kids every day have an opportunity to earn some money. So every day we have chores, and how we do it currently, which we've done lots of different things, but currently how we've been doing it for a while is actually I'll show it to you right here. I bought these little cards that are meant to punch in a time clock. I actually checked into getting a time clock, but it was more money than I wanted to spend, so we just use a pen and we write on it. And I bought a digital clock so that even the younger ones who can't tell time on a regular clock could still fill in their time card. So they just get a pen when it's time for us to start our chores, and they write in the time that they start, and then when we're done we write down the time that they stop. And then at least once a week I pay them. If they want to get paid sooner than that for some reason, then I'll go ahead and pay them. So depending on how what their attitude is while they're working, like if they're a cheerful worker and they try to work hard and keep a good attitude and are looking for things that need to be done without having to be told, doing a thorough job, all those kinds of things. So just depending on that kind of character stuff that's going on, they get more or less pay. So someone who is very slow or easily distractible or has a grumpy attitude all the time about what they're doing, they're going to earn less. So maybe like a penny a minute is what probably my worst worker earns. My best worker earns 5 cents a minute. So I'm not sure, what does that equal out to, like a couple dollars an hour. So they all have a different pay rate just depending on those kinds of things, and of course what we personally can afford to spend on this. And for my thinking is that I'm going to be spending stuff on my kids one way or the other. So how am I going to allocate those resources is going to be based on their ability to learn responsibility and to contribute to the family, because our family is working together as a family, taking care of each other is the goal. So I don't want them to have the idea that that they're like, we just hand them money and they get their needs met without it being connected at all with fulfilling their purpose also. So we do this clock in thing and everyone gets paid, and then whatever they want to spend it on, I let them spend it on. I do not control whether they save up for something. If they want to blow it all on candy, I don't care, because for me, I really want them to learn responsibility and wise use of their money. And I feel like it works better when they're young to let them to experience what it's like to blow all your money on something that you didn't need to and have that regret later, than to wait to learn that experience when you're older. And of course we're always talking about money and being wise with it, and we're having these kinds of conversations throughout, so it's not like they have no guidance whatsoever. But I want the weight of their decisions to be on their own shoulders. And I can remember in particular one time we went to this store where they sold like teacher supplies and toys and things like that, and Thomas spent every penny that he had while we were in that store. And we got out in the van, and he just felt sick over it. He felt really bad, and so he changed his mind and he went back in the store and he asked if he could return what he'd bought, and they were very nice and they let him return everything. But it was a real lesson for him when he realized, I don't have any money to spend for a really long time now because I bought all this stuff that I didn't really care about, and now it's gone. And thankfully he had the opportunity to return it, but if he hadn't, then he would have just had to have lived with that. So we do not buy ever for our kids. We do not buy them treats when we go out. We do not buy them toys. Anything that they want that's beyond, obviously we buy them food and clothes and things like that, but any of those little personal things that they want to do, or if they want to go somewhere, like Tom and Thomas go play Magic, the Magic card game on Friday night sometimes, and if Thomas wants to go, he has to have his own money to pay for the entry fee for that. And I'm not, like, if we're going to go to a big, like on a big trip or something, we're not going to make their kids pay to get into an amusement park or something like that. We pay the fee. But if they want to buy special things like that while we're there, like souvenirs or special treats beyond what we've provided for lunch and things like that, then they're on their own for all that stuff. So here's how it looks by age group. With our littlest kids, as soon as they start getting old enough to start wanting things when we go shopping, then I start giving them a little bit of money. So on Thursdays we do our grocery shopping, and so when we go on Thursday, Solomon and Sophia, who are 2 and Solomon will be 4 here this week, I give them $1 and a quarter. And the reason I give them both $1 and a quarter is because they have a gumball machine and they really always want a gumball, so I give them a quarter for that, and then they have $1 in addition if they can choose something to buy with their money. So they get their $1 and they go shopping, and they have to stay within their budget, and they always have a bigger sibling that helps them know what they can afford. But they are learning to know their limits, and that there's a limited amount of things that they can choose. And then when they have chosen what they want, they actually go with whoever's helping them and pay for their items. So I also start at this age, when they do ask me for things, I'll always just say, yeah, that's really nice. Did you bring some money? And if they don't have any money, then they realize, oh, I need to save up for it, and they don't get it. So I am never like, no, you can't have that. I always put it back on their shoulders of, if you have money, then that would be a really fun thing to buy. And so they start learning at that young age that there's not an unlimited supply, and they don't get everything they want. And one of the things that I have noticed, we live in a small town, and over the years, independently from each other, I'm not even sure how many employees that have come and gone through our grocery store have told me on their own that my kids were their favorite customers. And I think it's because it's so cute seeing them come in and act so adult-like with their shopping, and just they don't ever throw fits because they have never had the experience of throwing a fit and getting something that they want, because we always do it this way. So for my middle-aged kids, usually starting about in kindergarten is when we really start the clocking in or doing whatever we have done in the past to determine how much money they're going to get. So they will start then clocking in and actually doing chores and things that then relate to how much money they get. When they're younger, we always encourage them to help, but they aren't obligated to the same way that the little bit older kids are. So there is where we really are in those middle years, working on connecting their own efforts, their own character with the amount of money they get. And if they are really being bad workers, we have the discussion with them that if this was a real job, you would probably be fired. We're not going to fire you, but we are going to reduce the amount of pay you get, so they can move up and down in the scale over time. And if someone has been consistently having a bad attitude or whatever it is, then I will go ahead and move them down a penny an hour. And then if over the course of some weeks things are straightening out and getting better, then they move back up. And I don't make a big deal out of it. I just try to be encouraging to, this is the reason that I'm doing this, and this is the things that I'm looking for that will make me want to change my mind and move you back up in the scale. So they are working more not just with knowing their limits when they're shopping like the little guys do, but they're also learning to connect their efforts with the amount of money they get and continuing to shop within whatever their budget allows. They also, I have noticed just incidentally, that they have become really good shoppers, because when their budget is limited and it's always on them, they have really started watching for things that they enjoy eating or whatever, that when they go on sale they might get a little bit extra, or just they're calculating, I've got this much money, how much more can I get? And they have really become quite good little shoppers just by letting them be responsible for their own treats and things. So then our oldest son this year, he started working for us in our office. We have a home business that Tom runs out of our house, and so we have a little store area in our walkout basement that is where customers come and go. And in the past, I have taken care of people who came in while Tom was gone, but this year we started having our oldest son Thomas, who's 14. He works in the office for us, so he actually sits down there and does his schoolwork in that room, and of course he's in and out throughout the day, but then if customers come in, he can help them, and we pay him by the hour to do that, which we only pay him like $1 an hour, but he's not having to do a lot, so he gets like $6 or $7 a day to do his schoolwork and take care of customers for us. So here is the change that we made with him as far as his spending goes. We really want to help them understand that their money is not theirs just for their own personal wishes and desires. It's to fulfill a purpose that God gave this to us, to take care of our families and, again, to be generous. And so to help implement that for him, he is in charge this year of buying all the bread for our family. So it's not that we don't have money for bread, it's just that we want him to start connecting that his money is there to help his family. And so that's, several loaves a week that he has to buy with the money that he earns. And he earns plenty of money to do that. It's not like a burden for him, but we want him to start thinking in those terms. And then as he gets a little older and our next son comes up and is able to step in and start helping more in the office, we will probably move him to being the bread buyer. And I would like for Thomas to maybe start paying one of our monthly bills or something like that, one of the smaller ones, so that he can get practice writing out a check and just that routine of budgeting. So we're always slightly changing and kind of tweaking what we do. But in a nutshell, that's kind of how we handle our efforts. That is our efforts to teach our kids financial responsibility. And so far, I'm really happy with the outcomes that we're having with them. They just do really seem to they seem to get it very well, I guess I should say. And also, I didn't, I guess, really talk about that generosity, but we really tried to instill in them that adults are givers, and they feel really happy when they have bought something that they can share with everyone else. And I've had several people in our grocery store tell me how it tickles them to see my kids come up and shop, and if somebody's made a mistake maybe in calculating how much money that they need, the other one will just, you know, whip out their own little stack of dollar bills and they'll, you know, help them out. And because I guess there's always more, and that's what we want them to understand. There is always more. We do not need to live in fear that there's not going to be enough. And I think there's, you know, culturally, there's kind of this trauma mindset that's always telling us that we're going to run out, there's not enough, and that is not true. None of us are going to starve to death. God is the provider. There is always more, and that's the ultimate message that we need to give to them, that hoarding and selfishness has no place in the Christian's heart. And being responsible and taking care of the things that you owe is exactly what we need to be doing, in being generous with other people. And, you know, if you don't pay your bills, that's theft, because you took services from someone and you didn't pay them. So it's not good to be generous when you owe someone money. You need to pay the person money first that you owe, then you be generous to others. But anyways, so those are just a lot of the things that we talk about with them, and how we handle raising hopefully financially responsible adults. So if you want to keep having this conversation with me, I hope that you will subscribe, and in the meantime you can check out some of my other videos on my channel, and we will see you again soon talking about raising adults.